Hi, I'm Cheryl Waters. You're listening to Live on KEXP at Home, and today I am so excited to welcome Nilu fer Yanya. Hi, Nilu.
Hey Cheryl, how are you?
I'm great. It's so wonderful to see you, and I'm so happy that you shared these new videos with us. I cannot listen to that new EP enough. Those songs are incredible, and you created those during pandemic, so you've not had a chance to share those with a live audience yet, have you?
No, that was the first performance of the whole set. So thanks for having me.
Well, let's watch one song, and then we'll talk more about the new EP. It's Nilu fer Yanya live on KEXP at Home. Here's the song Same Damn Luck.
Time that you called in, sick or stating, they all knew, they all knew. I told you, I told. I find it overbearing, I think it's frustrating, just enough for staying in touch. I find it overwhelming, I think it's perplexing. I blame us, it's the same rush, it's the same damn look. You're in touch, I pay every single time that you blow that kiss. I hope you miss the same damn look. I pay every single time I'm staying in touch, but I don't miss you, miss you. Side is the covert tricks that stayed in. They sold you, they sold you. They all knew, they all choose. I find it overbearing, think it's frustrating. Just my luck gets in my blood. I find it overwhelming, I think it's perplexing. Had enough for staying in touch. It's the same damn look. You're in touch, I pay every single time that you blow that kiss. I hope you miss the same damn look. I pay every single time I'm staying in touch. Just the same damn look. You're staying in touch, I pay every single time that you blow that kiss. I hope you miss the same damn look. I pay every single time I'm staying in touch, but I don't miss you, miss you. Miss you, miss you. Don't miss you, miss you.
That's Nilu fer Yanya live on KEXP at Home. Same Damn Luck. That song's on the EP Feeling Lucky. And as I said, Nilu, I don't mean to go off too much, but it is just an incredible song. The whole EP, I can't listen to it enough. I mean, when I first heard it, it captured me immediately, and I've just been playing it over and over and over again. And of course, your amazing guitar work there in the performance that you just did for us. I love the vocal interplay between you and Jazzy B. I mean, that's just super fun. And as much as I like the songs, it sounds like you're pretty in love with them too, that you feel pretty confident you did a good job there. Tell me about making that record and those songs and what that's been like for you.
Thank you. Yeah, for me it was actually quite a nice process because I'd started writing the songs the year previous, so like 2019, and then obviously during lockdown, for a while, like I wasn't in the studio or anything, but then I think in the summer I had the chance to like finish them up, and it was really nice to just be able to release them and kind of, I had like probably like 5 songs, so I got to pick like the ones I was happiest with at that time. So I can't really, I can't really complain.
Feeling Lucky is your 4th EP, and then you have your full-length album, Miss Universe. And I've heard you say in interviews that you actually quite like the EP format. Why is that?
I think because it's a smaller process, so you kind of don't have to question yourself as much, and there's kind of less logistics around it, so it's a much more, it seems a bit more seamless, that you can create the songs, produce the songs, finish the songs, and then release them in around like under a year, which is really, I think, refreshing, especially after doing like an album cycle, which is like a bigger campaign, and you know, you have to tour the music, and like you don't really get to move past it for a while. So with the EP, it's kind of like, ta-da, here we go.
Do you find that you're someone who questions yourself a lot? I mean, you have such a great way with a turn of phrase, and I'm wondering, do you know when you've hit gold with that, or do you find yourself questioning yourself over and over? Is it hard for you to say, I think this song is complete now?
I think I generally know when a song is finished, but as to knowing, I mean, I even know straight away whether I really, really like it or I'm kind of like on the fence. And I think probably like in a year, I'll probably only write like 2 or 3 songs that I'm like super happy with. And then everything else, I'll just be like, yeah, it's okay. So I think for me, that's the harder part. It's like, you know, wanting, I guess, putting something out there that you don't think is 100% perfect or you think could have been better.
Is it a process that you spend time on your own doing? Or I had heard, I think for all 3 of the songs on the new EP that you had worked with producers. And I'm wondering, I'd love for you to talk about that process and what you loved about it and why you went in that direction and why you worked with the people you worked with. But I'm wondering if that was the first time that you had done that.
So I've always worked with different producers, and I've always worked with a producer because I don't really have any production skills. But yeah, I've kind of just gotten really used to working with a different range of people. So I didn't intend for the album to have 3 different producers on it, but it just happened to be the case. And for me, I really like it because it helps me develop and like strengthen my own like taste and style. So I'm not kind of always following like one person's view, and you know, you kind of don't really get stuck into a, oh well, they think it's better, maybe we should do it this way. You kind of get to, in a way, I feel more autonomous being able to work with like a wide range of people. And I think I think that's a nice way to do it.
Well, and I imagine you must learn so much working with all these different people. You can absorb it. And it sounds fun, bouncing ideas off each other, having someone think of something you hadn't thought of and trying it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, and it's also, I like, becomes more of like a group thing when you're working with a whole bunch of people as opposed to just one person, which I would also like to try maybe for a bigger project, just try and work with one producer or 2. But yeah, I don't know yet.
I know for the song Crash that you collaborated with Nick Hakim, who is one of my faves. He's done one of these live on KEXP and home sessions, which was great. And tell me how that connection came together and what that was like working with him on that song.
So I've been a fan of Nick's music for ages. I think he played a show in London like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago that I went to. And then I happened to sign to the same label as Nick. So it was a lot easier to kind of try and hook up a session. And I think we did that session like end of 2019 when I was in New York. We just had like a couple days and we were just trying ideas out. But Crash, like, we kind of completed the whole demo in one day. And then when he came over to London in March, we did like another 2 days on just like refining it. Yeah, so it was a really fun process because it wasn't like we spent ages poring over it. It kind of just worked.
Well, let's listen to that now. It's Nilu fer Yanya live on KEXP at home, and 2 more songs from the EP, Feeling Lucky. Here's Crash, and we'll also listen to Day 7. Enjoy.
If you ask me one more question, I'm about to crash. 'Cause if you ask me one more question, and if you ask me one more question, I'm about to crash. I look around, there's no competition where the heavy drinkers are. It's kinda like a presence, it's kinda like an attitude, it's kinda like a rhythm, kinda like the way you move. It's kind of like a prison when there's not much to see. I kinda like the distance to keep you away from me. And deep inside my own confusion, if I'm going back, and deep inside my own illusion. And I was under the impression these things don't go bad. And I was under this impression. It's kinda like a prayer, the way lovers do. It's kinda like a river, kinda looks like you said if it's not too late. And I will make amends, heavy like the water I can't swim against. 'Cause I believe in conversations, I believed your lies, and I believe in renovation. But when it comes to confrontation, you meet me outside. You said there have been an invasion that you didn't mind. It's kinda like a presence, it's kinda like an attitude, it's kinda like a rhythm, kinda like the way you move. It's kind of like a prison when there's not much to see. I kinda like the distance to keep you away from me. To crash. And if you ask me one more question, and if you ask me one more question, if you ask me one more question, it's kinda like a presence, it's kinda like an attitude, it's kinda like your rhythms, kinda like the. If you ask me one more question, I'm about to crash. And if you ask me one more question, deep inside my own illusion, if I'm going back, I look around, there's no competition where the heavy drinkers are. It's kinda like a presence, it's kinda like an attitude, kinda like your rhythms, kinda like the way you move. Said if it's not too late and there's not much to see, I kinda like the distance to keep you away from me. If you ask me one more question, if you ask me one more question. Heaven is day. Seven is home. Breaking like you never broken. cut all the people and places you got me. Not sure I hate them, not very happy. I lose all control and who's gonna stop this? Main thing is who's gonna want this? Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. So heaven is there. There was no one, there was no fun, there was no 71. Breaking like you never broke. 'Cause no one, it was no fun, was no one before. And there's a lot of people asking questions I know I can't ask. Got my reasons why I can't stop them. Am I lost, brother? I dislike go, but you can't afford another. I dislike go, but you can't afford. And 'cause you're slow, but the bills are blowing over. I dislike go, but you can't afford another lover. I dislike go, but you can't afford. Go, 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 go. Now cut all the people and places you got me. For sure I hate them, not very happy. I lose all control and who's gonna stop this? Main thing is who's gonna want this? Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's Nilu fer Yanya live on KEXP at home, a new EP called Feeling Lucky, and I cannot stop playing it. It is on constant repeat for me. Nilu, you grew up in a very creative family. It sounds like you were immersed in art from a very early age. I know your parents are both artists. It sounds like your siblings maybe have become artists too. And I'm wondering if you can just describe what a childhood was like surrounded by art. I watched a little video clip of you. I think maybe perhaps your sister was even in it too, where you talked about just an art studio being right in your home and you could use your mother's art supplies. And that almost seems like something out of a fairy tale for me to just live amongst that and be able to go dabble around in this and then move over here and do this. Can you kind of describe what it was like?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, we didn't have like a lot of space, so the studio would primarily be in the kitchen. But I mean, on the weekends, we'd always be in there drawing, making something. It just felt like, for me, like making something with my hands and doing anything and creating something always feel like the most natural thing and just a really fun thing to do. So yeah, we were always encouraged to make things basically. And I think also watching like my parents always being creative, always working on their own work was like a really, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's always been important to them. And I think that's become instilled in me, like being able to do your work, whatever that is, and like creating your own space for it.
When did you start gravitating towards music? Because obviously you're also a visual artist, it sounds like.
I try to be, but I think at the moment I'm definitely focusing on the music. I gravitated towards music. I mean, I started piano when I was quite young, and for a while I was just playing piano, but I really wanted to play guitar. And I think that really started when I started going to a high school, which had a big music department, and I really got into like playing in bands and playing in guitar, and yeah. And that's when I mean, I kind of always had this idea that I wanted to do music, but I think you have to build up the confidence to be able to. Well, first of all, you have to learn the instrument and then kind of learn what you're good at and do this, and then you'd be like, okay, I want to do this now.
How old were you when you started playing guitar, and what bands were you listening to that maybe you were trying to emulate?
I was probably 12 or 13. At the time, it was a lot of indie music, so I thought that was really cool. Stuff like The Strokes, and a bit later, The Pixies, The Cure. I really liked The Cure for ages, actually. Yeah.
When you were growing up, was there popular music or all different styles of music being played on at home as well?
There wasn't like loads of music, I think, because my parents are so into the art, but they do also love. They both love music in their own way, but my dad really loves Turkish music, so he's always playing that, and my mum is more into like classical music, like she's always playing the piano or listening to something a bit more obscure. And then I think when it came to popular music, my older sister influenced me a lot because she was the one who like collected CDs, and I would just like listen to anything she had. And there was a lot of like compilation discs, which are just like standard pop tunes, and then a lot of more like punk pop kind of stuff, which I was gravitating towards.
It sounds like you all grew up making art together and that you still do that to some extent. I know for the video Same Damn Luck, it sounds like you traveled to Greece and had many of your family members helping you. I know your sister does all of your videos, and I think maybe even the artwork on your records. Tell me about making that video and who was involved and what that was like. I felt like you were on a much-needed vacation. I would have loved to have been on holiday with you in Greece.
It definitely was a great trip. It just happened, like me and my sister were just planning for it to just be us, and then slowly as the idea formed, like we were like, oh, why doesn't our cousin come, Damien, because he's a DOP. Like, well, it'd be a shame not to have him coming. And then we were like, oh, we need someone to drive because neither of us can drive. And then we're like, oh, why doesn't our mum come and drive? And maybe she could do some of the art direction as well. So it kind of all just happened like that. And then my younger sister came because she's an artist as well. So yeah, it was all of us in the end.
That's wonderful. It definitely physically made me ache for summer. Did you go to Greece specifically to shoot that video, or were you going and thought, let's see what we can do there for a visual for this song?
It was specifically for the video. Yeah.
That sounds so fun. You have such a facility for writing lyrics, and one of my favorite things about your music is, I don't even know how to describe it because I'm not a music, but the syncopation between you and your instrument as a voice. When you started writing songs, I imagine that you hear them in your head, but I think that sound is very specific to you and your music. And I'm wondering, did you hear that in your head early on, or is that something that you kind of came to? Are you even aware of how you developed that style? And I'm sorry I'm having trouble spitting it out. I can hear the song in my head. I can hear what I love about it, and hopefully you understand what I'm talking about.
It's okay. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Yeah, I think for me, my favorite songs which I've written definitely have like a me sound, and I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I think it is definitely something to do with the rhythm and the syncopation being there, which is funny because like I'm a very rhythmically challenged person when it actually comes to like staying in time, or like if I was to like have to annotate the rhythm or something, I'd definitely struggle with that. But there's obviously, yeah, I think there's a melody and like a rhythm thing which, for me, to make it really strong, they both have to be there. Yeah.
That's
I hope that
interesting to
answers.
hear because as you answer the question, it makes me be able to form it a little better. And
Okay.
it's funny to hear you say that you're rhythmically challenged because that is exactly what I was trying to describe. You do not sound rhythmically challenged at all. There's just a really beautiful rhythm, and I love it.
Thank you. Thanks.
I heard you say in an interview, and it was a couple of years ago, I think probably even before you did your big tour on Miss Universe, that you don't feel like you're a natural performer. And obviously, playing songs live give them a different life than they have on the album, both being great. Even though you don't feel like you're a natural performer, do you enjoy playing live shows? And is it an easy thing for you to do?
It's an interesting question. I think it's become a lot easier. Like I don't really, because of, I mean, we've done it so many times. Like I don't really feel like I can't do it, but I do definitely when it comes to like performing and like really being like I'm here, like to the audience, the crowd, and be like, yeah, this is me. Like I struggle with that because I'm just not really a performer in that kind of sense.
It must feel great to vibe off of a live audience,
Yeah.
though.
I think it's been crazy because like pushing myself to perform has definitely made me become more confident as a person, as an artist. Even though if I didn't have to, I probably wouldn't perform. But having had the experience of doing it, it's like, wow, if I didn't get to do that again, I think, I'd really miss it.
Do you enjoy the part, excuse me, of playing live, of touring with a group of musicians and being a part of sort of that family unit that goes from place to place and does this sort of bonding thing every night?
Yeah, it's totally surreal. Like, there's no other reason why you'd have to do that in like normal day-to-day life. So it's you create like a real unit, and it's totally different. So yeah.
Do you find, even though you're saying if you didn't have to, maybe you wouldn't do live shows, do you find yourself missing touring right now?
Yeah, I've missed touring a lot. Not the hectic side of it, but definitely the fun side of it. And just being somewhere different is such a luxury and like a privilege, like to be able to do that and travel. And especially now looking at what's going to be happening with UK leaving Europe and pandemic, and it's like, oh my God, are we ever going to be able to do this again? I don't know.
We will. Yeah. I trust we will. Well, I do really admire how in an interview you spoke about not being very creative or productive during 2020. And I know that's something that a lot of folks are struggling with during the pandemic. And you've talked instead about using this time to just sit back, observe, to listen and learn about the world around you. How do you feel like these observations are going to affect your work in the future? Have you already started working on new music and incorporating what you've been sitting back and listening and learning?
Yeah, I've started writing a bit now, which has been nice. And I think when I said that, I think I was trying to also justify just not having been able to write anything.
I hear you
And it's like,
there.
well, if I'm not being creative, I must be listening. So, yeah, I think also trusting yourself that when you're not working, you're also working. Like you don't have to be writing to be thinking, right? So, but yeah, I think just seeing how it's kind of, I don't know how you would be able to be creative in such a time like this when it's so tumultuous and crazy and seems very uncertain. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are very angry and like for good reasons. So I think maybe my music might hold some of that when it next comes out. I don't know.
Well, speaking of that, you've spoken up for Black Lives Matter in some recent performances, and you were attending protests and came to the conclusion that it was important for you as an artist to take a stance on this matter. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think just as being like a person, I think it's obvious why Black Lives Matter is such an important movement for everyone involved. And I think having a platform, and I think also, especially across the summer, like witnessing everything that was going on, you just feel like it's your duty to say something, and hopefully other people will see it and think about it if they don't agree with you. Yeah, I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, why are you saying this? You should just stick to the music," or "I'm not following you because of politics." And it's like, this isn't politics. This is like me as a person. And I think if they saw it, that's obviously a good thing, because I'm hopefully getting people to think differently. Yeah.
We're live on KEXP at Home. It's Nilu fer Yanya, and you've recorded some incredible songs for us, and you and Jazzy B, you sounded great together. That must have been fun to do those songs.
Yeah, it was really nice to have a reunion as well.
Well, thank you for doing it. You have ended with an amazing cover. Let's listen to that. It's PJ Harvey's Rid of Me. It's Nilu fer Yanya live on KEXP at Home.
Yourself to me, no one else. No, you're not rid of me. Yeah, you're not rid of me. Night and day, I breathe. Hey, you're not rid of me. Yeah, you're not rid of me. Yeah, you're not rid of me. I beg you, my darling, and don't leave me. And I'm hurting. Lick my legs, I'm on fire. Lick my legs of desire. I'll tie your legs, keep you against my chest. No, you're not rid of me. Yeah, you're not rid of me. I'll make you lick my injuries. I'm gonna twist your head of sea till you said, don't you eschew. Never, I never met her. 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 Beg you, my darling, don't leave me. And I'm hurting. I've been lonely above everything, above every day now, and I'm hurting. Lick my legs, I'm on fire. Lick my legs of desire. Yeah, you're not rid of me. Yeah, you're not rid of me. I'll make you lick my injuries. I'm gonna twist your head of sea till you said, don't you eschew. Never, I never met her. 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 Lick my legs of desire. Lick my legs, I'm on fire. Lick my legs of desire.
Nilu fer Yanya live on KEXP at Home. That is Rid of Me. What made you choose that song? What an incredible and powerful song from an iconic artist, PJ Harvey.
Yeah, it's a great song. And my teacher, when I was about 15, showed it to me, and it's kind of always been in my head, but I've never actually properly listened to it since then. So recently, like at the beginning of the year, I was really getting into it, and then it just seemed like a natural one to do a cover for. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for including it for us today. And again, it is so wonderful to hear your new EP, Feeling Lucky. It's Nilu fer Yanya. Thanks for talking with me today. I can't wait to have you back here in the KEXP studios when you're able to get back out on the road.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks to all of our wonderful listeners who make these incredible sessions possible with artists like Nilu fer Yanya and so many others. You can subscribe to our YouTube page and get updates on all the great music on the horizon. Thank you so much for joining us here. It's KEXP live from home.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.